Ready?
Okay. Should be good.
Let me know when. Can I move the mouse yet or no?
And I'm gonna hit play. I'm gonna unmute. I'm gonna hit play. Unmute, and then I'm gonna hit stop.
Okay.
Full screen.
That's right. It's tonight's confession. I mean concession. The market is slowly shifting a bit. The market is slowly shifting a bit. And of course, sellers are offering concession. Tonight, we are going to go over how to negotiate to save yourself thousands of dollars with concessions. What's going on, guys? My name is Min Win with What's a Mortgage. Welcome to our channel. The goal of our channel is to simplify home ownership. If it's your first time tuning in, do me a huge favor. Hit that subscribe or notification button so you're notified every time we go live or post new content. We go live on Facebook and YouTube at 9 p.m. on Mondays, Tuesdays on TikTok at 8 p.m. and 9 p.m. on Instagram. And we also post daily tips on Instagram and TikTok, so don't forget to follow us on our other platforms. Also, this is an interactive channel, so ask a lot of questions. And if our videos today bring you value, do me a huge favor. Please like this video. All right, guys, so tonight, we are going into seller concession. I've been getting asked the same question over again. What's the best strategy to maximize the best bang for your buck? How to save yourself thousands of dollars in this market. So of course, before we go over the plan, let's go over the market. You got to know what type of market you're in so you know how to negotiate. Right now, we have about 3 months worth of supply out there on the market. 3 months. Typically, it's 6 months supply or less is seller market. That's the market we're in. 6 months or more is a buyer's market. But normally, it takes about 60 to 90 days to get your offer accepted. But recently, buyers have their offer accepted within the first 2 weeks. Of course, now times have changed, causing sellers to be scared. But this also means sellers are willing to negotiate. So even though it's not technically a buyer's market, sellers aren't used to seeing their homes sit on the market longer than 2 weeks or 3 weeks or overbidding. So of course, as they don't see a lot of people coming to their open house or a lot of offers, they're like, they start dropping their price. They start panicking. But if they knew that they were supposed to take 30 to 60 days before they get an offer, they would act differently. But because they are scared, this is the time as a buyer for you to work it before they realize, hey, maybe I don't need to drop my pants. Maybe I don't need to give seller concession. So tonight we're gonna give you strategies because you understand the market and you understand the timeline that you're in, so you know how to squeeze out the best bang for your buck. You wanna be aggressive, but not overly aggressive because you might spook away your seller, right? So first, what are we gonna negotiate, right? What are we gonna negotiate? We are gonna negotiate, of course, either a price reduction in your concessions or repairs or closing costs. Those are the 3 types of concessions you can negotiate, right? Let's find out which concession best fits your needs, okay? What's the next? Is the next one not popping up? Okay, there we go. What to negotiate? We already did that one. Why is this mouse? Why is this one not popping up? The next one. Sorry about this, guys. Let's talk about the wiggle room, okay? So wiggle room, wiggle with it, right? So if you want to get some wiggle room, how long has the house been on the market? Right before you look for the wiggle room, how long? First ask yourself how long the house has been on the market. What is the last comparable sale, right? You want to look for the last comparable sale of the house you want to write an offer on, right? Look for a sale that's sold in the last 30 to 90 days within a half mile to a 1 mile radius from the house you want to write an offer on, okay? You want to look for a similar property type. If you're buying a condo, you want to look for condos. You're buying a single family home, you want to look for single family home. You're buying units, you want to look for units, okay? You want to look for a similar property, same bedroom count, bathroom count, square footage, lot size, age of the home, and amenities. You want to go in that order, okay? You want to look for property type first, then you want to match up the bedroom counts as close as possible. Okay. Then the bathroom counts, then the square footage. You want to go in that order. You don't want to look for amenities first. Okay, let me look for all the homes with a pool. No, you want to match bedroom, bathroom count first, right? Make sure you follow this order so you can have the right base price. If you don't have the right base price, you really can't negotiate, okay? So once you figure out the last comparable sale, then you want to look at the price of it. Where is the price of the last comparable sale? Is it close? The house that you want to write an offer on, is that offer price close to the last comparable sale? Is it way above the last comparable sale, or is it way below the last comparable sale? And then you want to find out what's the current balance on the home you want to write an offer on. Let's say you want to get a low price, but if their balance is high, they don't have that room to negotiate. This is where it's time for you to get the best agent to work on your behalf to negotiate. This is not a time to use your cousin, your brother, your aunt, someone that would refer you a friend. Hey, this person just got in the real estate industry. Help them out. You need to help yourself out. You want to make sure you know someone that knows when to hold them, know when to fold them, know when to walk away, know when to run, right? You know that country song? Yes, we're about some music tonight. We went from R&B to country. But you got to understand these things as you are buying a house right now. You want to be able, you're holding the cards. For how long? I don't know. Of course, rates are slowly dipping the last couple of days. If you're watching this in August 2022, right? August 1st, 2022, the 10-year bond is down 2.59. It keeps dipping, and it might push it back into a hardcore seller's market again. So be careful. So right now is the time. You have the cards. Just don't be too aggressive. Know where you are at. Make sure you have a strong negotiator, right? And then once you figure out how long the home has been on the market, your last comparable sale, how much wiggle room you have. Of course, the first concession, price reduction, okay? Not the biggest fan unless you get a big enough reduction. Where we are with interest rates right now, for every $50,000, you can reduce the price. It's going to change the payment $350, $400 a month, right? To get $50,000 is not unheard of. That means that seller must be like out of their mind, or the last comparable sale was that high. Someone offered cash and they overpaid. But if they didn't, it would be hard to get $50,000. I hear people getting $100,000. I've heard stories, but no one has showed me a sale yet. Okay. Not saying it's not out there, but just understand, you do a price reduction. But what can you get for 50 grand instead of $350 a month? There's a lot you can do, okay? So make sure, right? What if the offer price is above the last comparable sale, right? If it's over by 50 grand, you might be able to get your 50 grand. If it doesn't, right, where are you at? If the price being offered is at the comparable sale, you might not have too much wiggle room. But if the house has been on the market for a while, you might be able to squeeze out a 2 to 3% below the last comparable sale. If the home has been on the market for a month, you might be able to get 5%, 2-3 months. Not saying that has happened yet, but if you do wait it out, you might be able to get a 10% reduction. It depends on how long the house has been on the market, okay? Even if you want these reductions, let's say the home has been sitting there for a while, have your lender and have your realtor pull up the balance. If the last time they've had this loan was over 10, 12 years ago, they got wiggle room. You got to have your agent figure out, what is the seller's next move? Are they selling to squeeze out as much equity as they can to move to the Midwest and retire? They might want to, let's sell it and go. We got the money, right? If they need to upgrade, they might not have enough wiggle room to upgrade. So you got to understand the price, right? The last comparable sale, your wiggle room, the balance. Know what the seller needs to do. If it's an investor that just needs to pull out, you might be able to win. But if it's someone who takes pride in their house, they're like, I'm not taking that big of a hit, you might not have that wiggle room. Okay, so you have to understand, with price reduction, you gotta have an agent that can feel out what the seller's gonna do. Know your whole surrounding before you make that decision. Okay, the next one, repairs. So now that we talk about reduction, you can't get 50 racks, right? You got to be able to play around with what you can get and play with it. If you get 50,000 or more, now we're cooking, right? I'm not saying that's where we're at yet, but it's hard right now, right? There's something called speculated equity. Speculated equity is when the last person who bought the last comparable sale overpaid in cash. Let's say the appraisal did not come in, right? But they still overpaid. So they marked a value of a property. It's that I call that speculated equity. The home was never worth that amount. One person or a couple bidded and were able to wanted to overpay what the home is worth. So I think a lot of the speculated equity is being squeezed out of the market, right? If homes didn't appraise, people overpay cash. And then of course there was another sale, and it built up this home value that if we just squeezed out all that speculated equity, we probably wouldn't be where we're at today. Okay, but because where we're at, that's where you have to negotiate, right? You got to understand the speculated equity where we're at. Okay, so now let's talk about repairs. So now you got to have an agent who understands the cost of repair. Like I said, this is not a season to use someone who doesn't know repair. If you are a real estate agent, you better get up on your repair game, right? Because sometimes a home inspection can happen and then things need to get fixed and you don't know the costs, and the seller gives you a production or tries to give you a boo-boo warranty. You're like, oh my God, I got a deal for my buyer. Maybe not, right? Things that typically go wrong. The Havaka, right? Sounds like a Russian drink. I finally got to say it, Andy. Havaka, right? HVAC, heating, ventilation, air conditioned system goes bad a lot, right? If there's something wrong with it, their seller's like, oh, let me give you a warranty. You don't want that warranty. You don't go out there trying to spend $12,000 for an HVAC, right? Let's say you get a price reduction. You didn't get 12 grand. All of a sudden now you want to go out and buy a new one. It's 12 grand. If you finance it, that's $300 a month, right? That's almost $50,000 more home for a $12,000 unit, right? You got to have your agent, hey, there's something wrong, man. Just replace this. We'll tell you in a second strategy how to replace it. Also, roof. If there's something wrong, get a roof cert, have the seller pay for it, or fix that roof. Now, the market is shifting. You don't want to pay all that money for HOA for new construction if there is wiggle room, right? That's why you got to know your surroundings. Get floor and paint. Of course, before the first or second week of June, sellers were getting away with selling homes with busted carpet and busted paint, right? If you're buying now, you might be able to squeeze out some paint. Squeeze out some new carpet, right? You want your kids rolling around someone else's carpet floor? You had to accept that a couple months ago, but not now. So you might be able to squeeze that out. Other appliances, right? Damages to the home. Get a good home inspection, home inspector, right? Remember, times are shifting. You don't have to lift your home inspection contingency. So have that contingency on there. When you get a list of the contingencies, get a list of the things that are wrong with the house on the home inspection, negotiate, okay? You might not be able to get away with everything. You can't go, I want all this fixed, and I want closing costs, and I want price reduction. You don't get all of that. You get some. So you got to really feel out the temperament of the seller, but you want to know what you have to work with. So you can figure out, hey, I might take a price reduction, or hey, I might not take a price reduction. I want repairs done. So this is how you do repairs. If you're going to get a crazy amount of repairs, of course, no seller wants to do it yet because you don't own the home, right? But as long as the home passes the appraisal, write this one down, guys. As long as a lot of people don't know, this is a nugget people don't know about. If you go crazy on an addendum to get all these repairs done, guess what the lender is going to want you to do? They're going to want all those repairs done before you close escrow. And you know what? The seller's not going to do it. The seller will not do it, right? And the lender won't provide finance because you're asking for all these things. A lot can happen. So if it was me and I were you, I would not take the price reduction, okay? What I would do is put it on the seller side. Put a bunch of bids in escrow on the seller side, not on the buyer side where the lender sees it. They're going to ask for all these things. As long as it's on the seller side, okay, as a demand in escrow, so it's not like you're getting the money, right? And when the loan funds, the seller gets paid out and the seller doesn't have to pay all these invoices. But as long as those notes are in escrow, the seller pays them and the work gets done and you get your house repaired, right? If you don't do that, a lot of times the lender's gonna fix this. And then you either have to come out of pocket, right? And then have the seller reimburse you somehow. It gets really tricky. And of course, if you're selling, you don't want to do all this work. Why paint a house, fix repairs, and the buyer might back out, right? Some sellers, okay, I'm willing to do it, but put up a bigger deposit, right? Release all your contingency. So be very careful. That's a nugget not a lot of people talk about. So make sure you deal that correctly or you're going to get stuck. I promise you that, fam. All right. So repairs. All right, so we got price reduction. It's solid. But remember, for every 50,000, it's going to change your payment about 350, 400 bucks a month. But if you can't squeeze out 50,000, you might want to look for some repairs. And the reason why, and also when you look at repairs, what can you have the seller cover? Because a price reduction might not be big enough, okay? $12,000 reduction might not be big enough, but having them pay for $12,000 HVAC might give you a better deal because if you finance it, it could be 300 bucks a month, or you got to come out of pocket $12,000. You just bought a house, spent all this money. You got supplemental taxes coming up. You think you want to squeeze out an extra 12 grand, 10 grand, 5 grand? I think not, right? So really look at your repairs. So work with an agent who understands these repairs. Are you going to get stuck? I promise you, you will get stuck. You're like, man, this wasn't worth buying. These are the nightmares I hear people have all the time, right? Now, of course, the third, not the recession, the third confession or the third concession, right? Closing costs. Let's talk about some closing costs here, right? Max closing costs. It's based off of the purchase price, not on the loan amount, okay? So the reason why I want you to know this, in case you can squeeze out more money, this is the max you can use towards your closing costs. Conventional loans, you're going with a conventional loan, 3 to 10% down, you can get yourself 3% in closing costs. Squeeze out more than that, put that towards either repairs or reduction. 10.01% down to 25% down, you can get up to 6%, 25% down or more, you can get up to 9% in closing costs. All of this is owner occupied. If you go investment, it doesn't matter how big the down payment is, max 2% concession towards closing costs. Okay, on conventional. FHA, 6%. That is big, especially if you guys are jumping into down payment assisted loans. Sometimes 3% is not enough for conventional down payment assistance, and you got to come out of pocket more, right? On the FHA one, you can get 6%. Remember, on down payment assistance, they charge that 1.5% to 2% origination. So the FHA version should be able to cover probably all your closing costs on seller concession. But on conventional, maybe not, okay? And VA, max 4% in closing costs. Anything above that, veterans, you got to come out of pocket, all right? Hopefully that helps you out there on what you have dollar amount, pound for pound. Now, what can you use the money on? Of course, pay your standard closing costs, right? Pay your standard closing costs. Closing costs is between 2.5% to 3.5% of the purchase price, depending on the purchase price. If the purchase price is under 300, it's going to be at the higher percentage, right? Because these lenders and title and escrow have flat fees, which makes the percentage higher. Okay. DM me if you want details. Did I bring you value tonight, guys? If I brought you value tonight, before we continue, do me a huge favor, like this video. Please tag someone in this. Please tag someone that you know who's thinking about buying a home, or if you are thinking about buying a home, tag the person you're buying the home with on this video. It does help out the algorithm. And if you're not following me by now, do me a huge favor, hit that subscribe or notification button, right? So other strategies, permanent buy down, right? I like these permanent buy down. You don't have to wait for rates to drop. So for example, if rates were 5.5 today, I'm not saying the rates are, I'm just saying an example, a 2-point buy down would get your rate down to 4.75. So if your loan amount was $500,000, the permanent buy down would cost you about $10,000. But talk to a lender. Everyone's different. But I'm just using, industry standard, right? For every 2%, you can buy down 0.75. So for buy downs to be worth it, you would have to keep the loan for 5 to 7 years. If you feel like the market's going to shift down, don't do your buy down. You're going to pay the higher rate for at least 6 payments until rates get better, okay? At least 6 payments. If rates get better before, you got to wait it out. The reason why, you can't use a new appraised value for a rate and term refinance till after 6 months, okay? Of course, after 6 months, if rates drop, you didn't do the buy down, boom, you can get your buy down. You can refinance the lower rate, okay? Also, PMI buyout, my favorite thing to do because we don't know where the market's going to shift in equity. So when you put 5% down to buy a home, right, it costs you 2% to buy out your PMI. you put 10% down, or sometimes 9, all depends on where your credit's at. It's 1% to buy out your PMI. So with less than 20% down, you will not have PMI. So there are strategies. This is only for conventional, not FHA, okay? With less than 20% down right now, you can buy a home without having PMI. Put 10% down. Save that extra 10% in this market right now. Of course, payments will keep rising. I believe if you buy a home and you plan on living in it for longer than 5 to 7 years, it's always a good time to buy because mortgage payments push up, and long-term prices and payments and rates will keep going. Payments will keep rising. Okay, but if it doesn't, for some reason the market shifts 5 or 10%, you only put 10% down out of your own pocket. Okay, that's why unless you're coming with gang of equity from another sale, you can put less down and not have PMI. Right? Put 5% down. You have the seller pay off your PMI. Right? A lot you can do. Then you can use the rest of your closing costs to just get a better deal, right? So there's a lot you can do right now. So maximize that concession. Hopefully that helps you out. Or what you can do, which is becoming more popular, have the seller pay your mortgage payment. Listen to me. Have the seller pay some of your mortgage payment. They can pay the interest. They can't pay any money towards principal. So what is really popular right now is the 2-1 buy down or the 3-2-1 buy down. Of course, if your standard interest rate, let's say your base rate is 5.5, on a 2-1 buy down year one, the rate is lower by 2%. That means the other 2%, the seller is paying the interest on that. Year two, right? They're paying 1% interest, right? So 5.5 would be 3.5 year one, 4.5 year two. And then year three, it'd be back to regular 5.5. So year one, they're paying 2% of your interest. Year two, they're paying 1% of your interest. And for those of you who are doing the 3-2-1 buy down, that pretty much would eat up most of your concessions, right? Year one, they're paying 3% of your interest. Year two, 2%. Year three, 1%. And year four, you're back to normal. If you are a person that feels that rates will improve, 3-2-1 buy down are great. There's no prepayment penalty. Let's say you take a super low rate and rates drop, boom, you grab that lower rate. You can refinance, take that lower rate, and you had a lower payment along the way, but you still got to qualify on the base rate. Same thing with a 2-1. Year one, down 2%. Year two, down 1%. Year three, if you feel like before 3 years are up, rates drop, boom, grab that lower rate. 3-2-1, you got a little more time, but that's going to eat up your concessions, right? So you want to talk to a lender, see the payment, see what you can work out. Know where you stand with your lender. So when you go approach and write these offers and ask for a concession towards closing costs, you know what to do. Do you want to buy out the PMI, right? If don't buy out the PMI, you're not going to refinance because they only work because you're buying out with less than 20%. If you refi and you don't have 20% equity, you have PMI again. Everybody's goal is different. Everyone's game plan is different. So talk to your lender about your game plan. Have a number together so your lender can talk to your realtor so you guys are talking. You want to always be talking, right? Not button heads. Make sure you're on the same page so you have a game plan. So hopefully that right there helps you guys out, right? Right now, we're in a season, right? And we need to ask for some concessions, right? Ask for some concessions. Know the price, know the last comparable sale, know the wiggle room, know how long the home has been on the market, feel out the seller, and go through different strategies with your lender. Hey, how about if I take a price reduction? What do I get? Okay, how about if I get repairs? Repairs is more on the seller side, okay? And then last but not least, closing costs, right? Once you figure that out, then you will know what is next. Hopefully this information helps you out. Leave me some comments and questions. If you have any misunderstanding on how these concessions work, hopefully this information brought you value. If it did, do me a huge favor, hit that subscribe and notification button so you're notified every time we go live or post new content, right? So we have some Q&A. If you have questions, I will try to give you answers. All right, guys, don't forget. Also, if you need to get a hold of us, here's our information on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, and you can always give us a call, 714-790-9697, info@whatsamortgage.com. If you want to email us, Also, we are doing beat that rate. I am doing my best. I can't keep up to all the loan estimates, right? I'm able to do maybe 5 or 7 a day. So if you have a loan estimate and you want help to beat it, what I do is for a couple hours a day, I go on all these different rate sheets, all these different pricing engines, and I see if I can find you a better deal. I can't always guarantee it, but lately I've had a lot of success since rates are also improving. So if you need to reach out, 714-790-9697, info@whatsamortgage, or you can email it to review@whatsamortgage if you do have a loan estimate, and we'll try to help you find a better deal. I'm not going to say it's going to be with me. Sometimes I found a couple lenders that have nothing to do with me, but I found better deals, and I called the loan officer from the banks. Hey, I have these people from What's a Mortgage. I see that you guys have the best deal on the block. I need you guys to take care of them, and hopefully I will send you future business as well. Okay? So definitely reach out. It won't hurt you. We don't need to run credit. I just need to see the loan estimate. All right, guys? So let's get some Q&A here. Ria, what's going on? Hi, man. Newbie question. If the appraisal goes below under offering and seller agrees to lower the price, who processes the rate buy down? Is that the lender? Would you please explain how that works? So typically the buy down, Ria, you can either pay the buy down or have the seller pay the buy down. If the home doesn't appraise, let's say you're going to buy for 500. Now it's at it appraises for 490. The purchase price is 490. Whatever's under 490, if the seller wants, you can negotiate and have them pay for that buy down, or you got to pay for it now since it under appraised. Hopefully that helped you out. If you have more questions, please reach out. All right. Sup, Playboy? Let's go. Preach on. Thank you so much, Santo the Great. If prices dip, do you still think a HELOC is a good idea? I think a HELOC is a great idea. If prices dip, unless the lender reaches out to you and tell you, hey, we're going to freeze your HELOC, you're okay. You're good to go. Make sure you're using that HELOC to do something positive with your life, not cash out and buy a boat unless you're going to buy a boat and rent it out and then make money, and then that's a different story, right? Just be responsible, Linda. Can this happen even after the offer has been accepted? Yes, that can happen after an offer has been accepted, right? Let's say you negotiate. Let's say you at 500,000 RIA, you negotiated, seller's gonna help you some closing costs, and appraised at 490. Okay, it appraised at 490. They back off the price of 490. They might not want to negotiate, okay, because they were okay negotiating because there was more equity. If the home doesn't appraise, then you don't have room. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, so really you gotta have a good agent. Really pay attention to the purchase price, right? Know your comps. It's important that they know their comps. So hopefully all this helped you out. All right. If you haven't followed me by now, please hit that subscribe or notification button. And we want to end all our live streams with our attitude is gratitude. Without you, there is no us. So thank you guys so much and have a great